Okay, maybe it's just me, but the instructions for the Okinawa Futon frame weren't very clear. Like, I mean, okay, they're fairly clear. I'll give it that. Like, they're very straightforward. Um, and maybe it's just the tism in me, just a little bit of that spectrum. We're trying to look at these pictures and get all these pieces initially oriented. I've had a heck of a time with it, particularly A. So when I looked for help, there really wasn't too much. So I'm gonna try and point out what I noticed. This is the biggest part, and maybe it's obvious for everybody else, but it wasn't for me because it was mislabeled. And so this groove right here ended up being on the outside, but it should be on the inside, because when you bolt them together, it's gonna line up with that piece for piece D. So yeah, it does advise to start with A and B, but I've personally found it's easier to start with what is that? With C, with A and C. Start with those guys. So connect this guy to this guy, and where they connect are this goes here, and this goes here. Afterwards, when it's standing up on its A's, you can attach the B. Be right back with you in a sec. The bolts go from the outside in, particularly these two, and they're going to stick out a little bit. There's going to be a little bit of the bolt that goes through. All right, one sec. There, see? Get those pieces together. That groove lines up. Now we're going to attach B to A. That's just what I found to be easier, and it's going to go on the outside. Right here. I'd start the screw from the outside and bring in. There's a little bit of metal threading that actually helps secure it. Otherwise, it's just going to fall. It's going to let go of it. And there we go. You see? From the outside. And then, talking about the inside, it's not flush. I'm not sure if there's a reason for that or if there'll be consequences for it later. I'm sort of reverse doing this. I mean, it's like fourth time taking these things apart. But maybe there'll be a reason. Maybe there won't. Moving on to the next part. Okay. So this is a very thin piece. This is D, and this is where it slides down into those grooves. I had to loosen the screw down here a little bit because it's a long piece. It probably warped a little bit. And for it to actually fit, I had to loosen it up and then tighten it down. But it is a very fragile piece. So just be mindful of that. Okay, now this is piece E, and we're going to place it on top of this, including piece D, which, as you'll see, this guy has a groove on it as well. So obviously we're going to line that up with piece D. All right. That is, oh my goodness, what is that, E? That is E, piece E. Remember, this piece D is quite flimsy. So and E, this piece E is quite heavy. Piece F is going to be heavy as well. Piece E lined up with piece A, as well as D, that groove I showed you. So it's just for how heavy it is, just careful not to how you position it onto D. I didn't do any damage to it, but I definitely got the impression that if I weren't careful, I might hurt it. All right, I gotta fix that bolt. But after that, we're just gonna be moving right along. Okay, gotta set up on there. These suckers, they get a little difficult to line up. I just sort of threaded them until they didn't pull. Now I'm gonna tighten them down like I've been doing the others, kind of like when you do you know, like the lug nuts on your car tires. I'm gonna kind of go top right, bottom left, top left, bottom right, and just kind of do that until everything is secured. Okay, component G. This is the lock, from what I understand. They want it on the outer side of A, and I've pretty much been going by the rule that when they have divots like this, they should go on the outside, and that's where the bolt feeds through. Let's see if we can get a glimpse of. Okay, it's the only part left. Here we go. Alright, I'm just gonna get a slightly closer look at this. It says to tighten it down just enough so that it can swing freely in the lock and unlock position. I'm gonna pull it back forward. I made it you know, firm enough that I can kinda hear it. And then I can pull it back. I think I'm gonna find, yeah, maybe a little bit of rubber or something to adhere to the bottom, just right here, because it settles pretty tightly on this in the lock position, and I can only imagine like my weight, my partner's weight, using it as a couch. And neither of us are very heavy, but I can just imagine it putting some impressions in that wood. Same with on the inside, like it is swiping. Maybe I'll find something to, you know, make it not so abrasive, but yeah. And there you go. Seated position, resting position. And with mattress and in seated. Oh, I have the drawer. I'll slide it under there in a sec. Yeah. I do have some like non-slip stuff I gotta put on underneath the mattress. I might even recommend finding, you know, something to try and adhere it to the slats underneath. This is just a 4-inch futon, and I mean, it bends pretty nicely. The lips at the bottom here, they catch it. But you know, I just might make it look a little more tidy, I suppose. Anyway, I couldn't find instructions, and it appears my pieces were either initially mislabeled or I just overcomplicated it, which, nothing new about that. Either way, concise enough. I think better pictures would help, but I mean, no, I'm sure they tried to take into account for as much as they could. It's just what was intuitive to them then may not be so for some. So it goes. Take the good, take the bad, careful not to chip the wood or strip the bolts or you'll be mad. And there you have Okinawa Futon frame assembly. Sit, Ubu, sit. Good boy.